This episode of After the Quiet contains personal experiences and discussions related to grief, death, terminal illness, hospitalization, emotional abuse, coercive control, and family trauma. Some content may be distressing or triggering for listeners. Hi, and welcome back to After the Quiet. This is episode 63. Today's episode is about grief, but not just grief from loss. Grief from realizing years later how much was taken from me while I was trying to survive. In January, my aunt, my godmother, was hospitalized. Her breast cancer had spread, and now it was in her brain. She would send me pictures from the hospital, pictures of herself wearing her radiation mask. And every time my phone lit up with one of her messages, my heart broke a little bit more. Because she had been there for me. When I was going through my own cancer scare, she came to visit me at the cancer hospital. She sat with me, supported me, loved me through my fear. This was my aunt, the aunt who always made me feel welcome, the aunt who wanted to take me to Vegas to see a Cirque du Soleil show, the aunt who was genuinely happy every time she saw me. And I wanted to go see her, desperately. I promised her I would come to the hospital. But when the weekend came, he refused to watch the kids. So I texted her. I told her that I couldn't make it that weekend, but I would try again the following weekend. She never answered that text, because the next message I got was from my cousin. My aunt had died. And to this day, that still hurts, because I didn't go. Not because I didn't want to, not because I didn't love her, but because I had allowed someone else to control my life so completely that I missed my chance to say goodbye. At her funeral, family came up from the States again, and just like always, he played the role. Charming, helpful, personable, the version of himself everyone else saw. And inside, I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell everyone what was happening, what my life actually looked like behind closed doors. But then, guilt would hit me. Because this wasn't about me. This was about my aunt, about grieving her. So I stayed quiet. Again. Not long after my aunt passed away, my dad celebrated his 70th birthday. We all got together the weekend before to celebrate him. And at the time, it felt important. But none of us realized how important it really was. On his actual birthday, my sister called me. She asked if I had gone to see Dad. I said no, we had just seen him on the weekend. And then she said something that stuck with me. He's not acting like himself. At first, I brushed it off. I thought maybe emotionally he was struggling, because he had made it to 70 and his baby sister hadn't even made it to 60. But a few days later, everything changed. My mom noticed his breathing sounded strange while he slept. So she called the paramedics to check on him. His oxygen levels were dangerously low. My dad was admitted to the hospital with aspiration pneumonia. Because of his neurological condition, he had aspirated food into his lungs, and it had caused pneumonia. The antibiotics helped. The pneumonia improved. But then came another devastating reality. Because of his neurological disease, the doctors determined he could no longer safely swallow food or liquids. They told him he would need a feeding tube for the rest of his life. And my dad refused, which created this horrible limbo, because technically he was improving. But the moment he ate or drank, he would aspirate again. Eventually, his body started deteriorating, and he was moved into palliative care. My dad spent over 3 weeks in the hospital. 3 weeks. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to spend time with him. I wanted to support my mom, because she was there constantly, day and night, with no break. But once again, he controlled the situation. He told me I had 3 kids to care for, that he needed to go to the gym, that it didn't make sense for me to drive 40 minutes to the hospital after working all day. And somehow, I accepted that. Meanwhile, my mom had no respite. My sister had a newborn. My brother lived in Spain, and there was no one else. Eventually, my mom's sister called me and asked quietly, "Does your mom need help?" And I finally said yes. So my aunt spent more time alone at the hospital with my dad than I did. And that realization still devastates me, because he wouldn't let me. Or maybe more accurately, because I had stopped believing I was allowed to choose for myself. The only night I spent with my dad in the hospital was his last night alive. My brother had flown in from Spain, and finally, I pushed back. I had my mother-in-law watch the kids, because he still wouldn't. And I spent that night at the hospital with my mom, my brother, my dad. The next morning, my mother-in-law called asking when the kids would be picked up. So I left. I planned to get the kids home, get them bathed, get organized, and then return to the hospital the next day while they were at school. But that never happened. As soon as I got to my in-laws' house, my brother called. He said Dad's breathing had changed. We got into the car immediately, driving as fast as we could toward the hospital. And then my sister called. My dad had passed away. I was the only one missing from the room. And to this day, I carry so much anger at myself, at the situation, and how much control I had handed over, because I let someone dictate how much time I spent with my dying father. And now he was gone. Looking back now, the signs were screaming at me. Every part of my life was being controlled. Who I saw, where I went, how long I stayed, who I could support, who I could grieve. And somehow, even through all of it, I still stayed. Thank you for listening to After the Quiet. Please remember to subscribe to this podcast and share it with others who might need to hear my story. And also join me on Instagram at after.the.quiet. If you recognize parts of my story in your own, please reach out to someone who can give you support, or look for that support in your community. You are not weak for needing help. You are human. Your voice deserves to be heard.